I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting to order. If everyone would stand and join me for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Progress.
All right, consideration of the minutes. 2.1, to approve the minutes of the April 26, 2023 Board of Directors meeting.
So moved. Seconded.
Any discussion?
Yes. There are some typos.
Yeah.
Section 5.4, it lists Rebecca D'Alessandro as a literacy teacher, and she is an instructional coach. And then number 7, there is an error in Hannah's last name on the second paragraph, and I can just give you my notes so you don't have to go looking for them. But besides that, did anybody have anything else?
Anything else? Bob, anything for you? You're still looking at them, so I don't want to move on.
No, I'd already looked at him before.
Okay. With the changes mentioned, I would like to go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Now we would go ahead and do public comment. Please, when you approach the microphone, to say your name and what town you are from. Anybody online? No. Keep going. Reports. Superintendent's report.
Yep, so I have a few items. Had the honor to attend the Oak Hill High School announces the Summa Cum Laude group. So I thought we'd give them a nice shout out for all their hard work. And remind me, Marco, what do they have to receive to get the Summa Cum Laude?
It's a 3.6 cumulative GPA or higher.
Good. So Nathan Chadbourne, Amelia Hamilton, Julia Constrad, am I saying that right?
Yeah,
Close. Faith Perrier, Addison Smith, Alexis Spencer, Maverick Swan, and Ethan Vatasso.
Yeah.
So, and they're all, several of them going to Thomas College. They're looking at nursing, psychology majors. Some are undecided. One's going to the University of New England, undecided, but they all have worked very hard, so congratulations to those students. The other thing is this week doing a lot, because our principals will have a lot to say, I know, at their reports next time, but Staff Appreciation Week. So we want to give a big shout out, obviously, to the PTA who brought coffee, different varieties of drinks for us, all non-alcohol, which was appropriate, good, and a basket of snacks. But we've been enjoying Nest the first day with eggs with goodies in them. Donuts were given across the district. We had appreciation cards today with other little surprise gifts from their administrators. We have gift certificates being drawn, and we have a nacho bar coming up. So lots of recognition for our outstanding staff and how much we appreciate everything they do. So it's a great week to celebrate our folks. And then on Friday, last Friday, I attended the Drummond Woodsum free seminar. It's our opportunity to get free legal advice from them. But we heard lots of different topics, from First Amendment to changes in the restraint and seclusion law, to energy tax credits, to tort claims, to boundaries, to public comment, how to budget meetings if things go wrong, just things for us to have on our radar, and bargaining. So lots of topics. It was a packed morning, and it was really productive. We've had really good budget meetings with the staff. I hope they've appreciated at least knowing enough that they could speak to the budget coming up for their May 17th, and highly encouraging residents to attend that meeting. Destiny couldn't be here tonight because she has a tennis match. So with this weather, everything got moved around, so she won't be here, but she's going to be talking a lot about what's been going on with students at our next meeting. And if you didn't hear about it, decathlon in Texas, they were fourth in their division and I think over 14 individual medals. And so lots to be proud of their accomplishment. And Destiny will be talking more about students next meeting. So that's it.
Thank you. Assistant Superintendent report.
All right, so we are in assessment season, so I thought I would test your skills today. So as I shared with you, I know, aren't you excited, or a little test anxiety? So as I told you before, that grades 3 through 8 and second year are taking a different NWA test. It's called the through assessment, so it's aligned to the grade level standard. It is like the NWA, but it's not adaptive. So we're going to see, I didn't tell you what grade level this is.
Oh, dear.
Okay?
Nope.
Anyone in the audience want to?
Math, huh? Thanks, Kathy.
Now,
Is it math or
so
reading?
I'm going to give you 3 minutes
Math or
to
reading?
work on this. Can we, you don't know?
Oh, I
Can
could
we
skip.
move on?
Oh, that's
No, 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 no,
Can I
no.
go to the bathroom?
No,
Can we insert
Nope, you had to.
Can we insert
I was excited.
If you don't know the answer, you
Ooh, it's math.
You have
Oh, my
God, the first one. Anybody?
We have 3 minutes?
And then after I'll ask what grade level you think this is.
Oh, boy.
Anyone? Want to play? No one want to play along? Oh, I thought that was like yes.
No, that's a no thank you.
All right,
We have 3 minutes.
go ahead, you got 3 minutes.
Oh, I'm glad I was in 7th grade recently. I've been tested enough today.
It's a lot easier, honestly. No cheating, you can't talk with your partner next to you.
Eyes on your own paper.
Feel free to use your tools.
You need my phone?
Can I get my phone? Sure, whatever you need.
Chat GPT will tell me.
1 minute,
I have
it's
no
already
idea.
down.
I have no idea. 1 minute's already down.
Don't. You're already making it.
One more minute?
I'm just jumping all over.
Got one right. I
I
think.
have no idea.
All right, time's up. What grade level do you think this is?
This is 5th grade. Hard. 4 or 5. 5th.
5th grade.
grade.
So unlike the students, it's untimed, so they don't have the time. I just want to make sure you have plenty of time for our other presentations tonight.
No more tests?
No more tests. Well, maybe, I don't know. Do you want the answers real
Yes.
quick? 1 was A, it was only worth 1 point. I didn't do 1. 2 was C, 1 point.
I got that.
3 was C, 1
Got
point.
that right.
4 was C, 1 point. 5 was A, 1 point. 6 had 2 parts. Part A was either B or D. Part B was C, that was 2 points. And then if you got A or B right, you at least got 1 point. 7, A, B, or E for 2 points. And if you got any 2 of the 3 answers correct, you got 1 point. 8 was B. 9 was D. 10 was C, D, and E. And if you got 2 of the 3, you got 1 point. 11C, 12A, 13A, C, and E, 14D, 15E. So because this is a change in the DOE assessment, we won't get student results for the math until July, and then we won't get the full summative until the fall. So I won't be able to give you assessment data. As we head into the new year, we'll use math assessment for fall and winter, and then go back to spring. So we will be able to, again, start giving you some data presentations, fall, winter, and spring, starting next year, like we're used to seeing for STAR. It'll look a little different, but we will be able to start doing data presentations more regularly going forward. Any questions? Yes? You're blinking.
So I can talk pretty loud, but is, like, parents will have access to this, or it'll be on their portal for their kids' grades, or how do they get the results of how their kids actually?
Because we're not getting them till the summer, we usually send them home when we get all of the assessments together, and we send them home. They'll usually get it by mid-fall, and it gets a copy goes into their P file as well.
So that's their portal. It's not on their portal where the grades are?
No.
It's through the mail? Okay.
Yeah, we'll send a hard copy to the students home.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll open that.
Okay.
Any questions?
Finance report will be May 24th. Admin report is next meeting. Director's report, home routine.
Okay, I'm gonna turn mine on here because it's kind of like a show and tell. A little bit. All right, can you hear me with this microphone, okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Why am I always first? Okay. All right. All right, so a little bit of a technology update. So for this month, we're assisting with NUIA assessments. And so we've been doing that district-wide, whether it's the new through assessment or the previous one for that spring data. The Actima Conference for Leadership was this month. Jordan Lord went instead of myself. Last year, we both went together, but I was going to already be out 2 days that same week, so I didn't want to be out 3. So Jordan went. He had a great time, gave my name to lots of people, so they've been calling me like vendors, looking for stuff. So thank you, Jordan. But he got all the prizes, so there's always like vendor stuff. So he gets the fun stuff, and I get the phone calls. And then Kathy and I went to the Tech and Learning Conference in Massachusetts, which was amazing. And you didn't mention it in your report? I did not. You did not. So on Thursday, we went to Minuteman High School in Lexington, which was amazing. And the programs were impressive. There was like 19 different programs. And the tour was over an hour, and they usually do it in 2, so they kind of rushed us around, so that was amazing. The kids were like ambassadors of the school, so they kind of showed us around, showed us all the programs. And so that was quite fun. And then the second day was sessions every 30 minutes that we went to, learning all different topics of technology. And so Kathy was hanging out with all the techie people, so it was great. And we had that at Boston College, so 2 different places. And then one of the things that we learned about during the conference, which was the main reason why Kathy wanted to attend and why we stayed super late and took us 4 hours to get home, was for the Chat GPT, because it is the hot item. And so we have some teachers that are experimenting with it now. We have kids that are definitely using it, because we do see that on our network. I was kind of new to it. Kathy's been totally into it and talking about it for months. So after the conference, you kind of drink that Kool-Aid and you reach out to Mr. Gayton and Mr. English and say, please try this before the board meeting. And so they actually got the link, and I'm not sure, Bob, if you actually got in there to try it, but you like the concept. And Robbie, you actually got in there and
I
asked
did actually try it, and
Yeah.
it was it's pretty amazing. I asked it about 20 questions, going from how to build a shed to how to measure a column of water, how to figure out an angle of a roof,
How to fit a pipe
how
as
to
well.
fit a
Yep.
pipe. Yeah, it literally gave the answer out in 10 seconds. I even asked it how to write a book report on Watership Down. It didn't give me a book report, but it did give me a detailed frame of a book report that if any kid had written the book report according to that outline, would have been a good book report. But
And it can be really smart, and you can even say, kind of a book report written by a fourth grader with spelling errors, and it will still do that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I even used it, Jonathan, writing requests for information for pricing. And he gave me a list of, websites to go to and, how to figure out how to bring the contractors in and show them what you want, detail. I mean, it was actually pretty good. Yeah.
And I actually get it, and I asked it a couple of questions about what were the major causes of the American Revolution,
Yeah.
and it listed the various things, social, economical, political, things that were all under the ground that caused it to happen. Some other questions that I think it's a great tool. I think, I often go to math, but if I'd have had this, and if I had had trouble in my math in college, I could have gone here and said, "Can you explain this to me?" And it would have given it to me the same answer, but in different way, and maybe I could. And then you can always hit a button and have it regenerate.
Yeah.
So you maybe get a little bit different. So it could really help you work through learning functions and other things. So I always, for a long time, well, I shouldn't say a long time, I haven't been around a long time, but for several months, I thought that it would be ideal if someone does have to write a book report, that if they write one and if they were to ask this for one, they would have to validate the information because it's not always 100% accurate, right? And that can help them out. So I think the reality is that our staff is going to have to learn new teaching techniques that can encompass the use of this extremely powerful tool to assist them in getting the educational knowledge to the students, which is the key of why we have them here, right? That's what we do. So I think it's a great tool. We just, we have to have a way, and I guess there are programs out there that will check for plagiarism, so you can run somebody's essay through it to see if maybe they just took it verbatim or mostly.
Yep.
So I even got so deep in the weeds with it. I asked this question to see if it would answer it. I said, how many families in Sabatas have ever had more than 15 kids? And my grandparents came up. That's how deep this thing goes. And it came up with the Perrons and the Rancourts. Yeah, that's how deep this thing goes. And it was like 10 seconds. It was there.
Yeah, Jordan is telling me that they're hiring people for $15 an hour to train this, because what GPT stands for is, I had to write it down because I can't never get it right, generated pre-trained transformer. So it's
Yeah.
being pre-trained by humans.
Yeah.
So that's actually a cool thing. And I actually asked it to, if I was going to present this to the board, how would I do it? And so it
Yeah.
actually gave me the steps, which was kind of cool. And then I just put some details about what ChatGPT is, kind of put the definition there for you. I had a lot of fun with it. I couldn't get off it either. I was asking it all kinds of questions, right down to recipes, to how to start a garden, types of things. And as a teacher tool, there's a lot of resources out there of helping teachers how to use this tool and how to, kind of change their, like their assessment style or their learning style, or adapt it a little bit for this type of AI, and it could be a definite tool saver. If they could just teach it to clean my inbox, I would take it.
Yeah.
And so for us, we're going slow as always, checking it out, being cautious. We do use Turnitin for the ELA, and Turnitin will pick up if it's a copy and pasted type of item. It does have some issues with AI, but they're working on that as well. So that's a very good thing. And I just asked, kind of different, how can you reframe your writing or your math so that we don't overreact and say we're going to block it, because they're going to use this tool whether it's on their phone or at home anyhow, so we might as well engage it and educate them on how to use it. A little bit of the same type of stuff. I think you guys hit it for the math. And so I think Jordan was asking at some math earlier just to see how it's really cool.
Yeah.
Oops. Well, I think Robbie or Bob might have said that during the test. It's too bad. But, yep.
Yeah, I did.
Yep. So I think it's one of those new tools. As a board, you've been really supportive of all the new technology we brought in, supporting our staff. And I think this is just another example of another tool. And with Kathy's help and everybody's help, we'll figure it out and move forward.
Yeah. And tomorrow at our administrative team meeting, they're supposed to be bringing examples of what they used it for. So everybody's been dabbling in it, and so we're all going to share out what we did with it tomorrow.
I will tell you, this is a huge conversation in the higher ed circles. Our Faculty Institute is all about how to use Chat GPT for good. And there's a ton of resources that are out there and are being kind of developed in parallel as this technology continues to make waves in education.
Go ahead.
Is it question time?
Sure.
So do you know what approximately this cost for this program?
Right now, it's free. They do have a more advanced, or it's a next version that's $20 a month. But all of everything that we're doing is on the free version.
And
that's
then-
just one example. There are many
Many.
out there.
Yes.
You know, like you can go to Slide GPT and it will make a Google slide presentation for you. And sometimes you have to pay like a $2.99 for how advanced it is. But there is many out there. This is just one example of how advanced kids are using. It's the most used one right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, they have them for graphics. Like you could say, let's draw Katie as a Monet, and it would just, there she is.
Wouldn't that be lovely?
Oh, sorry, that was a bad artist example. So, just kind of trying it out.
And this would replace Google? Like kids have their technology, they Google everything, everything's in their Google Classrooms and all that
minutes
stuff.
harvesting, Google's going to integrate with it for sure, of course. But say there was like a long article that, you were deciding whether you wanted to spend that hour to read through it all and you were kind of curious, you could actually, say summarize and then put the link for that article in there and it will summarize it for you.
So then we
Same
don't
thing-
really want kids reading the whole article?
No, but say you and I,
Yeah.
it would summarize and give you, it's like the Cliff Notes of our day, right?
Right.
And so it's the same type of thing, and the teachers can tell the difference between you did the Cliff Notes or you read the book. And so, but, as a time saver, as teachers are looking for resources, I could see them, using that to see if that's something they want to do. You can do the same thing with like a YouTube video, so you could put in the URL for the YouTube video. You also have to put the title of the YouTube video, and then it will summarize that video, which I think is very interesting. So teachers can
What is-
definitely use that to save time.
What it's doing, Laura, instead of, when you Google something and you get all these selections, it's taking all the selections
Yep.
and synthesizing. That's why you have to double check it, because depending on where it's pulling its sources from, you still have to cross-check it against, because it even puts as you saw on the bottom, this may have inaccurate information in it. So you still have to
Yeah.
you double checking yourself, but that's what it's doing. Instead of you doing a search, it's doing the search.
And then is it going to be for specific grades, or we just send it to the high school, then the middle school, or is it kind of across the board, or what's the?
Right now, it isn't blocked for any grade level or any teacher. And so right now, we're seeing use at the high school and the middle school on site. And so I'm sure that will expand, and I'm sure there's some little friends too. We just haven't seen it yet on their iPads.
And then I was just kind of curious that why the rest of the board maybe didn't get a link to it, and only 2 members of the board.
Yeah, so I always pick, they're like my early adopters, so every time we bring in the iPads or Chromebooks, not wanting to bug the whole board, I'm like, can you just try this out for me? I just, so.
Do we-
We'll send it out to you at the
Yeah,
board.
I don't know. It's really appropriate to pick 2 people. You know what I mean? It just kind of.
Okay. Yeah, it was just more to hear some feedback from them, so.
And
so I
remember,
agree.
we're not implementing it.
We're not.
It's already here. So we're trying to learn what others are ahead of, you know how it is. Kids find it first, and then we go, what is that? And so we're trying to catch up with them so that we can start monitoring or creating assignments that push.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I also know like my fifth and seventh graders have quite a few apps and tabs on their tablets and things. And my seventh grader would totally copy that and paste it and send it in and get the like, you did that. So just thinking like it's great to have tools and you'll navigate and kind of
Yeah.
find tools that work and find tools that don't. Like we all kind of do that, right? So, as much opportunity as there is, and it's such a low cost that it's like just questions because I've never personally heard of it before, and I would make my seventh grader read the article.
Right.
Knowing not everyone does that.
My concern would be what information is it actually excluding? But anyway, who's the developer? Like, who invented this?
It's OpenAI is the developer of
So
this
it's not
particular
driven by
one.
one specific company?
Nope.
Scott, 60 Minutes did a story on it, not this week, but 2 weeks ago. You probably could look up 60 Minutes, and it kind of shows where it is and the person who's behind it and how it's
Do you
working.
know who that is? Off the top of
No,
your head?
I can't. I can picture him, but I think he's from one of the big, and now he's from a division.
Probably could exclude
But-
any information.
But you can, it was kind of scary, frankly, when you look at what it's doing, but it says.
I mean, Google excludes information. If you put in, if you search for
Yeah.
something specific, it doesn't always bring up your number one search items.
So you know what? When you get on,
Filtered.
you could test it. See, there's a
you
challenge. Yes, you're going to see, will it tell me what I know? Yeah.
But only if he was given the link could he, right?
No.
Well, you could go onto your kid's tablet and get it, right?
Oh, no, I did it today. I did it today with no help.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, you can go on, you can.
anyone can get it. You just,
Yeah.
you Google it, and then you find it.
But you have to
It's
sign up and
easy.
you have to log in.
Yeah.
So like, you
Like
have
I
to
logged
give
in through
them-
my Google account.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
Because it gets to know you,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it gets to understand
What questions you
what
ask?
questions you ask, what your kind of what your likes are, your kind of what is your voice.
It's very
in your
adaptive.
writing. So it
It's not
starts
telling you who
adapting to
developed
you.
it.
At first,
well,
it's very generic, then it starts adapting to you. So that's why you kind of have to link to
There's
it.
no
But just
person
Google
attached to
ChatGPT, and you have plenty of.
Oh, yeah.
Or just Google AI programs, you'll see all the different kinds.
But remember, if technology is free, you are the consumer. They're taking your information.
Right. Yeah. Like we're talking about right now, it'll be on my phone tomorrow.
It will be.
Exactly.
It plans a really cool road trip. You can say,
Yeah.
plan me a road trip driving no more than X amount of hours from here to here.
Are you all set, Norma Jean?
I am all set. Thank you.
Thank you. Jonathan?
No fun tests to take or AI talking about really awesome building bus information that I'm sure you're all excited to hear about. If anyone drove past Carey Ricker today, they might have seen some traffic cones, some construction workers, and some utility trucks. So we are starting the process today to rip out the 2 old oil boilers and water heater and start the process to wrap up the district propane project. So in the bottom right picture, you can see a genie lift lifting one of, I believe, 6 or maybe 8 sections of one of the boilers. One of those sections is complete cast iron and weighs about 800 pounds. There's about 7 or 8 in a boiler. There's 2 boilers in there, and then the water heater that's almost as tall as the ceiling. So pretty elaborate and time-consuming project. But they were able to get both the boilers out, a new one just temporarily in there. And they have temporary hot water right now, so no one was down without hot water.
So you're gonna make some more classroom space out of that? area?
Sure, yeah, we can have like a little tech space in there for the kids to learn how to clean boilers. So.
Yeah, there you go.
They can use ChatGPT to figure it out.
Yeah, right. So hopefully for those who are doing pickup drop-off or in the area, it wasn't too cumbersome for parent pickup or drop-off. They're very mindful. I talked to them today just to see how things were going. They needed a small concrete truck in tomorrow to pour a form inside for the new boiler, and they were asking about, hey, when are parents coming? When are parents leaving? When are buses here? We want to, early morning, late morning to avoid all that. So they've been very helpful in going through that step with us. So more to come, I'm sure, on that, and more pictures in future reports. In other news, the School Violence Prevention Program grant is on track for final submission next Wednesday. To remind everyone, that's the grant that I'm hoping can cover up to 75% of the district key card access project that I'm looking to do. So submission will be on the 17th of May. I will not hear about award until October. My hope was to do this project over the summer, just it's easier without people in the building, but I don't want to chance not having 75% of the project covered. So I'm going to wait till October, cross our fingers we get it. I've been working with the grant specialists with the COPS program, and they've said your application looks stellar. So I'm really hopeful that we get it in October. More to come on that. And summer work planning is just mostly working with custodians, head custodians, and kind of figuring out what our summer plan looks like. We're going to have something go out digitally for all staff to see, so that way when technology and custodial staff are complete in a room or a classroom, the teacher knows that they can get in there and not accidentally disturb a wax floor or something like that. So that's everything on the facility side. And then on the transportation side, I want to give a quick shout out to the bus mechanics, specifically those at the Public Works Garage. So as I've spoken about recently, we had some mechanics either retiring or just no longer doing the work for us, so we had to kind of find a new solution. We ended up going with the Public Works Garage, using them to service all of our buses. They have been around the clock keeping these buses up to date with repairs, brakes, PMs, dry, wet service, and have gone so far also as to give us space in their garage for products like for cleaning the buses or for windshield fluid or DEF. They've put up paper slots for maintenance repairs, documents, things like that to keep everything flowing. It has worked out better, honestly, than I was even imagining. So I just want to give a big shout out to them. They've been great. We do have DOT inspections coming up for the buses. That's twice a year, typically November, May, roughly time frame. So they'll come out and look at all of our buses to make sure that we're all in compliance. And then the summer introduction of Wayfinder. So I'd mentioned this in the past, how we're going to be looking to use Wayfinder for the upcoming school year. Once we finalize the Camp Rise and summer school bus schedules, we're going to look to integrate that with the tablets. And just as a quick reminder, what that really helps us with is student tracking, both loading on a bus and unloading from the bus. So God forbid we have an emergency, we have a real-time idea of who is on our buses and who's not. It's also really helpful too, so if we have a bus driver who's out and we need someone to cover that run, if we have someone who's licensed and physically able to drive the bus, they just have to hit go, and it will bring them to their stops, and it'll even pop up, hey, little Johnny, little Jenny are supposed to be picked up or dropped off here. So it helps us in a pinch too when we need someone to help cover a run. Phil hates it when I use his name. Phil, who runs the Burgess, has been helping us out tremendously, and he is only as good as the runs that he knows. But if we have this on our buses, he can go on any bus, on any run, hit go, and take care of it, and that's one less run we're shutting down. So that's everything with facilities and transportation, unless you have questions. Yes.
Is this the software that the state was rolling out a year or two ago that we had high hopes we were going to use for bus routing?
Is it? Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Want to make sure we weren't making a change.
No, this integrates actually perfectly with the app or the software we're using for building the bus runs. So it takes Transfinder, takes the runs that I build, and it pulls them onto these tablets and GPSs them.
All right, thank you.
And as I make changes, it updates it right there for the drivers.
Any other questions?
Just like you had mentioned, Carrie Ricker's Playground, is that still on the docket for summer?
Yes,
Okay.
yep, so we,
I didn't get that.
if I pull up my calendar in 2 seconds, I can tell you the dates. I believe it's second week of July, secure and install date. Second week of July. They plan on being in and out in a week.
Wow.
I'm hopeful for the second week of the second session of Camp Rise, they have a nice new playground to test out and give me some quality feedback on my decision making. But I think it'll be a great addition to a great school.
Awesome. Thank you.
I didn't know if there was any update to the lead situation that was earlier, or?
I've been working with the Maine Drinking Water, the State of Maine Drinking Water Program, some reps there. I've also been, unfortunately, playing phone tag, but eventually I'll get a hold of him, a state toxicologist, to get his recommendation on some things that we need to do. And we already have some plans in place for Louis Tozier to remediate some lead, at the suggestion of both our water quality expert and our plumber. Everything that we've done so far has been to the recommendation of the EPA and the state of Maine. So it's a slow process. If I had an unlimited budget, I'd rip all the pipes out and replace it with PEX, but we got to be a little bit strategic in both timing and how we do that. So still working through it. It's a long and lengthy process, unfortunately.
And then any update on the high school construction?
Yeah, we are about, I would say 80%-ish complete. I had given an update to the Finance Facility Committee as they'd asked, but just in summary, personal chat GPT here is basically the high school, all the affected areas other than the chemistry lab, the science office, and then the teacher's lounge are all done in entirety. We do have some flooring repairs that are still going on in between, but nothing that affects, student learning. We're just working through the insurance company, getting some supplemental payments in order to complete, the process, but, still on track with everything that we're looking to get done.
And then for the bus maintenance, the town is keeping track of the maintenance logs or things on the bus, because I think before that was all done with our previous.
It was to a certain extent, but I think they have done a fantastic job. They've called me and said, anytime you want to come look at our maintenance logs, we have them all in separate binders right upstairs with both you and the head bus driver's name on it. You're welcome to go to those and look at what we're doing anytime. I get detailed reports back. They do 150-point inspections on these buses every time they come in. And we passed with flying colors with the DOT in the last inspection, so I think that proof's in the pudding right there.
Yeah, and then do you know how many bus drivers take their buses home every night?
I would say almost 3/4 of them take their buses home.
So we have how many drivers? 10?
10, we have a head bus driver is 11, and a sub makes 12.
And so essentially 7 to 8 people
7 to 8 drivers
take their
typically
buses
take their
home.
buses. Yep.
And then is there a thought for next year for the after-school bus? Like that didn't run very much. I know some kids with after-school activities and stuff with sports. So there were some kids that weren't able to participate in some of those things because there was no after-school bus and transportation was hard for their parents or things. And
Are you referring to the late bus?
Yes.
So we still do have a late bus running. We do 3 buses, one for Sabatis, one for Wills, one for Litchfield. To my knowledge, that's been running all year long. We get feedback from the schools as to whether or not they need a late bus. Or they might say, we just have 2 students that are both in Litchfield, so all right, let's just send one bus and do a Litchfield run. So to my knowledge, everything's been running that way.
I don't know during basketball season specifically it was, but for the middle school, I don't think it was. But
Certainly something I can ask
Yeah.
about a little bit, just not to my knowledge, no.
May I ask, of the 7 or 8 bus drivers that do take their buses home, are they living within district?
Yes, yeah, we have all but, I think, 2 that are just over a line, a tenth of a mile or less, they're all within district, and all of the drivers that take their buses home have runs in the area in which they live, so, you could have them all, keep them at the garage, but then they're going from, say, the corner of Litchfield all the way to the garage to then just turn around and drive the bus all the way back to Litchfield to start.
And do you facilitate like a time that they're having their regular maintenance done if they're at their house? I mean,
If they have a maintenance issue, they will have to bring their bus over to the garage.
Sure.
No different than in the past where we had someone just on the Litchfield West Gardner line. We had someone actually in Monmouth, and then we had someone else in Litchfield. So we had still, regardless of where the bus was at the time, whether it lived at the bus garage or at their house, they were still having to make rounds to get it to be worked on, and then coincidentally swapped out with another bus.
so they just know when their bus is scheduled for maintenance, it needs to be there at the garage. Is that?
Correct.
All the bus drivers, Jonathan, right, do safety checks.
Yeah, they're required
Before.
to do a pre-trip,
Yeah.
and then That's more extensive. The post-trip is basically making sure everything looks as it
Right.
should, and
Yeah.
they're sweeping the seats both, above and below
Right.
to make sure someone either didn't leave something or there's not a kiddo taking a nap at
Yeah.
the bottom of, seat or something.
Yeah.
So they do extensive checks daily. That's part of their pre-trip.
Yeah.
And then again, when it goes into maintenance, it's through a 150-point inspection.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. And Nancy?
Good evening, everybody. I had the pleasure recently of being at the grades 5 through 8 functional life skills program and didn't realize what I was walking into. But they were working on their science projects, which they'd been working on for several weeks. Some kids were wrapping it up. Some kids were in the still mid-work. And I just want to give a shout out. They were working really hard. They were super eager to talk to me about their projects. They involved me a little bit in some of the experiments as well. This student was working on the science of hard candy, which was very cool. This student was making oobleck, which is really, I'm sure you've experienced it. It's a viscosity kind of experiment where it seems like it's liquid and then you touch it and then it's solid. So this young guy was very excited about that. This student had a project called 0 to 60 about the science of engines. He knows a lot, and I don't think he's been on the chat GP. Apparently I haven't either. But they were just relying on iPads. A lot of kids, and this student here you can see, had presentations, some of them interactive with their iPads. This student was super excited about squids. I learned more about squids than I ever had known. And this one was, this young lady was working on the science of whales. They all did the trifold board, but as I said, the iPads were also front and center with the presentations. I don't know if you know what a Gariels is. You can certainly look it up on the AI platform. But it's related to the crocodile family. It's called the Pinocchio of crocodiles, I believe. Super exciting. And then this was pretty cool. I did not see it in action, but you probably are aware of what, if you mix Coke and Mentos, what happens. It's sort of a geyser effect. I didn't get a chance to see it actually erupting. So as you know, this is the transition season as kids move from one building to another. In special education, those conversations start to happen a little bit earlier, I think, than they do for gen ed. So the 4th grade at Carrie Ricker took a field trip to Oak Hill Middle to just go check it out prior to any kind of other step up. And the 5th grade students, special education resource room students, had been trained to be tour guides. They were excellent tour guides. The 4th graders had prepared a lot of questions, and the 5th graders were ready for those questions. So there was a pretty lively, robust Q&A session. The functional life skills program, each of those students at the middle school got up and presented their highlights of the learning community, which really excited, I think, the FLS program from Carrie Ricker. And that program also had baked snacks for everybody. Kids, the comments from the 4th graders, how excited they were about next year, just really made a big difference. So, and that's all I've got.
Any questions for Nancy?
All right.
Thank you, Nancy. Ryan?
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to start out with a little shout out. We had baseball and softball competitions today against Madison, which both won, and tennis won their match against Dirigo. So it was a good afternoon to be a Raider. First things first, just some kind of updates about that Athletic Leadership Council I talked about earlier this year. I've been kind of going to them to get their voice as representing student athletes on all different changes and different expectations in the building. So knowing that handbooks and policies are due next week, I wanted their kind of feedback because at the end of the day, we're adults making decisions, but it impacts them. I was actually really impressed. We talked about eligibility, attendance policy, and awards that kind of take place throughout the year. Eligibility specifically, currently at the high school, we do a one-time grade check before the season and then once in the middle of the season. If they're not passing 5 classes, they're removed from the athletic event. I kind of anticipated a little bit of pushback from that. And unanimously, they all thought it was great. If anything, we even talked about making a more strict academic eligibility policy. They kind of expressed, they're like, look, we're student athletes. We're going above and beyond, and you should hold us to a higher standard. So I thought that was kind of impressive to come from a group of our youth that are playing sports and partaking in those. So that was good. Same thing with our attendance policy. We have a policy where if they miss a game, they sit a game for various reasons. And that's been one that's always kind of been like a hot topic. So we kind of talked it over as a group, and again, they unanimously agreed to keep it as it is. So was just kind of impressed to realize that our athletes are supporting the current policies that we enforce every day. And then same thing with awards. We talked about some awards that we give and just kind of got their input. So just kind of wanted to share that we're really getting a lot of the student athlete voice in the decisions that we're making. And then lastly, 8th grade transition. I think I might have talked about this prior as well, but we've made plans to take this Council of Athletes down to the middle school. I believe we're going down June 7th. Every athlete has been instructed to create a slide as part of a presentation that talks about their sport, their coach, their expectations, what they do on season, what they do off season, just to kind of share that with the 8th graders, because we're seeing there's a little bit of a gap between 8th grade participation and 9th grade, so on and so forth. So we're trying to kind of bridge that gap with athletics and extracurriculars. So we're planning on going down there on June 7th. Next, I wanted to highlight our softball program is hosting a pink breast cancer game on May 15th. So I just wanted to invite everyone if you're interested. I believe that's next Monday. They have different raffles, 50-50s. They're selling T-shirts. Boosters has agreed to donate all the profits from the Snack Shack to the Dempsey Center, which is going to kind of join some of the funds that we raised in the fall with some of our athletic programs. So we're planning on making one large sum donation to the Dempsey Center this summer. Oh, go back one. Sorry. And part of that was, as I might have also mentioned this year, our intent is to try to bring a group of student athletes to the Dempsey Challenge this year and have some Oak Hill representation there. My dream or kind of vision is to see 100 student athletes walk off a bus all with their jerseys on and partake in the 5 or 10K walk supporting the Dempsey Challenge. I don't know if that'll quite happen, but I got boosters on boards, the Athletic Leadership Council's on boards, and a lot of the athletes are on board. So I think it'll be a really good opportunity for athletes to kind of give back to our community and support a great cause. So if anyone's free on Monday the 15th, you should come check out a good home softball match for Buckfield. And lastly, we all kind of know what the rain looked like. I just wanted to kind of let you know what our maintenance crew was facing last week with all the rain. A lot of people think it's easy just to reschedule games, but we're in a scenario already where some of our sports programs are playing 7 games in 9 days. Yeah. Which turns into safety issues and pitch counts, and there's a lot of parameters and issues that come into that. So, you can see the picture in the top right was kind of how our field was. So, some of our athletes, joined forces with maintenance crews. We had parents bringing leaf blowers and blowing off the fields, and we had a whole crew and an army out there. But just super pleased that we turned. You can see the field in the top right and the left there. We turned that into a playable field in just a couple days. So. Big shout out to some of those people. Specifically, I want to give a shout out to Coach Chad Stoll, our head baseball coach. He donated probably 10 to 12 hours of his time outside of working hours just to work on both baseball and softball. So he had a huge influence on our student athletes being able to get some games in last week when we dealt with inches of rain that fell. So, any questions?
Just one.
Sure.
For the softball thing, is that being posted on the webpage, or how do you communicate that to the community?
Yep. So the local softball, the softball team has a Facebook page. Boosters has a Facebook page. They've been sharing it. It's been on morning announcements. I believe it's on the TVs at the high school. So information has been going out. I don't know if it's necessarily been posted on the RSU4 Facebook page, but it's something that sure can be done easily. I got that graphic beginning of the week, so they're kind of still working that, but I'm kind of putting it in the athletes and coaches' hands to make sure it's their voice and their kind of drive to make it happen. But I know it has been out there. So.
Thank you, Brian.
Awesome, thank you.
Jim?
Good evening. The first slide is I'll be attending the Adult Ed Directors Conference, which is sponsored by MAYA on June 21st and June 22nd at the Augusta Civic Center. It's a great conference. It's the first time that we're going to be in person again in the last 3 years, so there's a lot of great resources there. I've looked ahead at the sessions being offered, and I'm planning to attend the Career Pathways Strategies for Small Rural Programs, which is us. Removing the transportation barriers, which is also us. We have a lot of challenges with students trying to get to adult ed because they don't have the transportation. And then becoming a better adult education system. So those are the 3 sessions that I plan to attend at that conference. Next, I had a table at the Community Resource Fair a couple weeks ago, and it wasn't a great weather day. I don't know if that worked in favor of the traffic or not, but I was impressed with how many vendors were there, different organizations, as well as the amount of people that came through to check out what was going on in there, and had a lot of good questions from some community members and also some great ideas as to what they'd like to see in our adult ed program. This is just a marketing promo. MAYA is the association, Maine Adult Education Association, that really supports adult ed programs across the state. They provide us with resources. They provide us with, obviously, marketing tips. So it's just a little 30-second blip. If Norma Jean could play it, it talks about adult ed programs.
Maine Adult Ed.
It started off loud.
Customize a plan for adults regardless of their age, income, or learning level.
Thanks to Maine Adult Education, I'm a computer technician.
I'm able to open my own business.
I would like to go on to nursing.
I can enroll for college. To find a program nearest you, just visit maineadulted.org/programs.
So again, we've had a couple of those scenarios. We've had students go on to start their own business, students that also have gone into a nursing program through, we kind of collaborate with Lewiston Auburn with nursing. We don't usually have enough students to offer our own and make it cost effective, so we give them some medical terminology classes, and then we collaborate with Lewiston. So again, May is just a great resource for our adult ed programs.
Maine Adult Education is a gateway to possibilities. Maine Adult Education.
And then finally, just another reminder that our graduation is coming up, May 25th. Very excited. Again, we're on pace. Part of my job right now is to get people to finish. We have some that are so close, and again, transportation sometimes becomes a barrier. The nice weather becomes a barrier just to get them to come in and finish up their work. So, but again, invite you to be there on the 25th and join us with our graduation. Any questions?
How many Oak Hill students do we have in credit recovery now? Do you know? Or do we have any?
Well, so credit recovery, meaning that they're also a day student. And so we had one this semester who did not stick with it in either platform. He didn't stick with it during the day, and some circumstances, was in an accident, got a concussion, and just stopped coming to both. So.
Is remote learning an option for students that aren't able to come to class, or?
It is. We did some of that during COVID. So for the class part, yes. For testing, no. There is some testing that can be done online, but the HiSET is a high stakes test that they have to come in to do that, and that's really where we get most of the obstacles with students not being able to get there. Thank you.
All right, we'll move down to new business, 7.1. Alert, lockdown, inform, counter, evacuate. Alice, presentation by the Splash Police Chief, Eric Baker, SRO Megan Brown, and State Police.
Hi, thank you. My name's Eric Baker. I'm the Chief of Police for the town of Sabattis. With me is Officer Megan Brown. She's been an 11-year veteran of law enforcement, and we've asked Trooper Jason Wing, who's a 16-year veteran of the state police, to come along with us to show our unity of what we believe this program is all about. You've been an instructor in Alice training for
5 years.
5 years, and Megan and I were just certified in February. And she's going to actually run through the PowerPoint for a short PowerPoint to talk about what it is and the reason that we're very in support of the RSU going in this direction. So I'll ask Megan to go ahead and proceed with that.
All right, so Alice is the alert, lockdown, inform, counter, evacuate. You'll see as we go through. It's going to be brief rundown of what it is. Okay, I mean, you guys can, if you want to get in depth about all the other stuff, it's all over the place. You can read it online. So, like you said, Chief and I went to the training back in February through Navigate 360. Great training and incredibly eye-opening. We were taught as not law enforcement, but as civilians. Very, very different than what we're used to, but it helped. It helped us learn how to roll this out to staff if we get there. So why is it important for us to have a plan for a potential violent critical incident? Obviously keeping schools safe. So why change the existing plan? Most schools' emergency plans date back to the 1970s, and so much about school safety has changed since then. We must prepare for the evolving nature of violence in schools and do everything we can to prevent that. And Alice is an option-based response, which is crucial in what we want to do, and that is to prevent the most casualties, I suppose. Proactive preventative measures for school safety. So this is what we have done within this district. We have secure locked exterior doors and classroom doors. We have at the middle school right now, the badges with our pictures on it that gets us in and out of the school. We have strong partnerships with local police departments, sheriff's department, state police, as well as the fire department. We've added security cameras. I know specifically at the primary school there's now cameras on the playground. And we have a safety committee, which we meet once a month. So why Alice? Alice Protocol is an option-based approach to school safety during a violent critical incident. The training empowers staff and students to make choices regarding personal safety during a violent critical incident. Quick scenario real quick. If there is a critical incident, an active shooter in the front of the school building, and we have staff members in the back, they have a way of egress, right? They can get out. And that's what this does. That's the inform portion of it. So alert, lockdown, inform, counter, evacuate, awareness and communication, situational awareness, alert, and inform, response options, which would be the evacuate, lockdown, counter, and staff would be able to make that decision, what they feel is best at that point in time. So this is how we roll it out in what is taught. So pre-K to grade, it'll be pre-K to 4 is what we're going to do, because we have the middle school is grades 5 through 8. So instead of teaching, 5th grade, something different at the middle school, where we have teachers who tend to cover other classrooms, the middle school is going to be taught the same thing across the board. So in our instance, this is going to be pre-K to 4. It's going to remain largely unchanged. In the event of an emergency, it is critical to follow the instructions of staff members. Staff members may ask the students to stay in place in your classroom or to leave the classroom. If you are asked to remain in your classroom, you should remain quiet and spread out away from the door. So again, that's pre-K to 4. So for middle school and high school, expectations of following teacher's direction will continue. They'll learn about locking down or evacuating. They may have a role in assisting their teachers with barricading the doors, if that's appropriate, pushing desks, whatever they can in front of the doors at that time. And then the high school, grades 9 to 12. In addition to locking down and evacuating and barricading, older students will be taught appropriate strategies for what is called countering. And this is not focused on fighting back. This strategy is about using direction in order to buy time and continue searching for options. Countering is the very last option in the strategy. So staff training. Staff training is 2 hours of PowerPoint discussion and then 2 hours of scenario-based learning discussion. We get tabletop exercises that we were provided from the training, and then of course we'd always look for feedback from staff. That's pretty much it. I know it's fast and we're running through it, but.
So, and I'd like to know, and I really appreciate Megan and the chief came to our safety committee and explained it when we went through our lockdown drills. It was great to have them say, because we asked, okay, what would we have seen differently during this drill? What, so it was really good to see that, and Megan's been providing us notes, and the safety committee is in total support, and the next step is moving into our emergency plan, so we're working on how to get that emergency plan, which will come to you for approval. The plan is to have an administrative team trained in June, so that we get a good feel as administrators, what does this look, what does this mean, so we can talk it out. And then August workshop day, the staff would all be trained up. Some things that I read, instead of all of us being in one spot together, how students have to spread out. So it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve about, all right, I used to do this now. And we're saying it's really, fire has changed, our fire evacuations have changed, and this is kind of aligning with that, as teachers have to think, they have permission to think and not just fall in line and do what but listening, thinking, like Megan said. If I'm here and I know something's happening way far away from me, I can make a decision to evacuate. So it's a lot of giving permission that you're listening, you're assessing, and then you're leading your students to safety.
And that's where the training for staff is going to come in.
Right.
We're going to teach them, they're going to learn who, what, where.
Mm-hmm.
Who's walking through the front door? What are they wearing? What do they look like? And then that's how it will get out. And that's when our staff will learn how to make those informed decisions. And it's also going to come down to, teaching the kids, they need to be listening to their teacher. When this happens, we need you to listen and follow the direction of your teacher.
Yeah, I think this is the saddest topic that we have to discuss as school board members and community members but that's just the world that we live in today. I asked Jonathan a few weeks ago how much we have in our budget that goes towards hardening our buildings and safety, and I added it up and it's $211,000. And we're putting a Band-Aid on an arterial wound. If we can't harden up our buildings and keep people out, we're just kidding ourselves saying that it's not going to happen to us. I mean, buildings designed 10 years ago were designed open. Our cafeteria has very high windows. Our doors are filled with glass. Some of them don't have wire mesh in them. Some do, some don't. So I want to get it out to the community that, yes, we're working on things, but we're a long way from saying that our buildings probably where they should be, and we're spread out as a district. And one school resource officer covering 5 buildings is, like I said, a Band-Aid on an arterial wound. Response times, we're seeing response times from sheriff to state police, and it's not a knock against them. They're covering a lot of area just like we are, but we could do a lot more. We could do a lot more.
And just this teaching, one thing that I took away from the teaching is because we've always been taught as law enforcement officers what we're doing, to try to get to you
Right.
and making you more but it's you that are the first responder because
Yeah.
you're still trying to get there. And don't get me wrong, and it's a 3 to 5 minutes in a situation that may be happening that a lot is going on.
Yeah.
And the teachers, the staff, you are the first responder until we can get there. And that's a sad part that I have to
Yep.
say after 36 years in law enforcement. I have to say that to you, but that's the reality of what we're seeing in today's environment.
Yep.
No matter how hard you make the schools to get in and so forth, there's always somehow someone's
Mhm.
thinking some different way to do something to
Yep.
us, and that is sad for today's
It
world
is.
that we're living in. But we are, as a community, trying to develop the programs, not only making it a safer school in that sense, but a safer for the staff and the students by giving them other options available to them. So that's why we are really promoting this to go. We have a lot of other instructors that are willing to come in and help us, where we can make sure that we give you plenty of proper training throughout it and answer questions as time goes.
So would you have an actual live exercise like I've seen on some of the Alice presentations online?
We use Nerf guns.
Right, yeah.
We use Nerf guns, and that's what we would do with the staff.
Okay.
With the staff. And we'll roll that out. It's all, as Megan was saying, it's all age dependent and so forth. And maybe I'll have Jason speak a little bit what he's seen from a couple other schools of what we've taught. I mean, he's been doing it for 5 years with other school districts.
Yep.
And that's why we've asked him tonight to make sure that you see that this is a product that does work.
So depending on the school district and really, the communities, it all depends on how far they're pushing it with the students. From my perspective, for the last 5 years, I've tried to instill on the administrators in the districts that we'll come in and teach you, we'll keep doing the refreshers with you, but you really need to be doing this with your students. There's been a lot of pushback from administrators because this is a scary topic, right? But in reality, we're giving these tools to our students or young adults or our staff members to use in their personal lives as well, outside of schools. So in the school settings, what we've seen is we have not been using the Nerf guns for the students, but you can set up drills where, we go into a lockdown. We're not using a traditional lockdown because that was never intended for inside threats. All right, that was intended for drive-by shootings out in Los Angeles. So what we do is we tell them, all right, you're going into lockdown. We say there's this person's wearing this over here, but they know it's an exercise. That way they can decide, are we going to go into lockdown, and how are we going to do the lockdown? What are we going to use for barricade within our rooms, or are we going to evacuate? And they're going to take the students and staff members out of the building to the rally points. One school district in Oxford County, they went so far as doing an evacuation to the rally points, having buses come to the rally points, and then instead of transporting them offsite at that point, they stopped the exercise. But from that point, then they would have moved them to the actual reunification site and start that process there. So we've had a mixed bag, depending on if it's a private academy or public school, and then also depending on the age that we're dealing with within those different districts.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Thank you. 7.2, to approve first-year probationary to second-year probationary professional contract, and the list is attached to your agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Did we confirm that everybody's on it?
Yes.
Okay.
You just live in Lisbon?
Yeah.
Any discussion? No? If there's none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? All right. Thank you. 7.3, to approve second-year probationary to continuing professional contract. That list was also attached, and that is correct.
Second.
Any discussion? No? Right. All those in favor? 7.4, to approve allowing the superintendent to issue contracts during the month of July and August.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Bob?
I just want to make sure that the board is absolutely aware that this is not the process that's laid out. We allow this to happen because we're not meeting in those months. But if we allow the superintendent to issue a contract, we can really not vote to issue that or to hire that person when we come back in August for September. So, we're giving up. Statute says superintendent nominates, we approve it, and then the superintendent hires. That's the steps. And the lawyers will tell you that's the way it is, but most all school districts do this. We just have to be aware that we're giving up our right to do our review that we might want if someone was nominated. So just be aware that if you approve this motion, that that middle step, our step, is taken out of the hiring process and is inserted after the fact.
Any other discussion? Seeing as there's now a call for the vote, all those in favor? All those not in favor?
We'll do the calculating.
It passes.
It passes. Yeah.
To Litchfield, Wales.
Yeah.
Do you want to give the amount?
Thank you. 7.5, to authorize the Finance Committee chairperson to move on more than 5% between cost centers to ensure that no cost center is overdrawn.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
This is pretty common practice.
Yeah.
Historically.
Yeah,
Tell us more.
so we can't be overdrawn
Yeah.
on any cost center. Statute allows us to move up to 5% from any one cost center to another one to make sure at the end of the fiscal year that the cost center is not in the red. And I think when we first started, we actually, at our last meeting in June, the whole board moved funds. But then when we, sometimes, it became easier because the numbers weren't all in.
Yeah.
And so we allowed the finance committee chair to go and move those funds. They had to document it that it was approved before the end of June. So those things were going on. So it was easier just to have somebody that had their finger on the pulse. It's not approving any additional expenditures or anything else. It's just making sure that we have the funds in each cost center to pay the bill.
Thank you.
And then that's always reported out, right? Like,
Yeah.
you guys always,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we'll have a pretty good,
Idea by the middle of June. Sam and I are gonna meet Thursday early and find out where we might be running over.
so when you get your financial report, you can look on there and see
Yeah.
what percentage and where we are. You can get a pretty good idea from there too. Sometimes it's between transportation and special ed.
Yeah.
It's usually not our general ed type thing, classroom environment. Those aren't usually the ones. Food service used to be, but now that's been taken out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's, transportation is usually one they.
Special ed transportation or, yeah.
And any other discussion? Seeing as there's none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? All right, thank you. 7.6, to approve authorization to apply for and accept grant monies provided acceptance will not result in the expenditure of RSU4 funds or expectation of continued staff addition.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing as there's none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? 7.7, to approve the school physician, Carol Mansfield, MD.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is this the current position?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have to, by law, approve every year.
All those in favor?
All right, so this is,
Oh, sorry.
so this is for the new school year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
This is
so-
when you approved last year,
Right.
so you're approving again.
Can I,
Yep.
can I make an amendment for it to say for the 2023-24 school year, just so it's clear? To the motion?
Okay. So to approve the school physician, Carol Mansfield, MD, for the school year 2023-2024.
I would second that motion.
Thank you.
I just was wondering what the, like, I understand it's required, but I don't, what does she do?
Yeah, so they're really on
Sorry.
contract, right. The nurses, if they have a certain case or we have some concerns, we can call. For example, you'll be hearing from the policy committee on medication and doing collaborative agreements that you have to have through your physician.
Okay.
So it's good to have them on in case something happens, like COVID and things. They're a good resource.
Thank you. I was just curious.
No, that's all right. Good question. Anyone else? Okay, so all those in favor of the amendment?
Then we have to.
Now you vote.
No,
Now
you
it comes to
vote.
me.
No,
Now
now
it
it
comes
comes
to
to
me.
me.
Yeah, now you're
Thank
back.
you.
Right
All
at
right.
the beginning again.
To approve the school position, Carol Mansfield, MD, for the school year 2023-2024.
So moved.
Second.
All right, that's right.
Yes, already on the floor. So all those in favor? Thank you. All right, committee reports. Personnel and Policy Committee.
Yes. So we actually had a combined Personnel and Policy Committee and CAI, because we looked at the graduation requirements, and just to be transparent, that is still in committee. We do not have a recommendation at this point. There's a few other things we want to explore. However, we did look at two policies, NEP and NSBA, which is the administration of medication to students, and policy, I can't find the name. Yep. NEPN NSBA code JLCDA, which is medical marijuana in schools. So we are currently looking at collaborative practices for our nurses to be able to train others to learn how to administer emergency medication to both students and staff, and that also includes the administration of Narcan. So that will be coming to the board for a first reading soon. All right. So that's policy.
Anything else? No? Number 9, any board member comments? Laura?
I just wanted to note that the Sabatis town meeting is the 24th, which is also our next meeting, the annual town meeting. So, yeah, at the same time, I think, close to it.
Anyone else? Diane?
This week, I am working over at the middle school and helping out with the Scholastic Book Fair. And I've seen a lot of the kids that I've had. And today was a lot of fun because I got to witness their Aces Day there. And at the end of the day, we were upstairs in the library. We could hear the kids just cheering and screaming. So we went downstairs in the gym, and they were having a game, the teachers against some of the kids, and they had to sign up. So they played again. Oh my God, it was a lot of fun to watch and to see them all sitting together, because there's so much of that was missed. But it was awesome. I had a lot of fun. I'll be back there for the rest of the week, and then tomorrow night for their Day in the Life.
I just must have missed you because I had to drop off a red shirt at 7:30 this morning because we wore the wrong color.
I was there at 7:30.
Oh my gosh. Mom, I gotta go home. And I'm like, what happened? I need a red shirt. I'm like, I can bring you one.
Yeah. Yeah, if you looked at the kids sitting on the bleachers, it was like the red, white, and blue, and then green.
Yeah.
All right, no other comments? 10.1, to enter into executive session pursuant 1 MRSA 405-60, negotiations for RSU4 professional collective bargaining agreement, RSU4 Professional Assistance Association collective bargaining agreement, and the RSU4 Administrators Association collective bargaining agreement.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Hi, everybody.
It is 7:48. Okay.
Recording in progress.
Yeah.
11.1, to approve the July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2026 collaborative bargaining agreement between the RSU4 Board of Directors and the Regional School Unit Number 4 Professional Assistance Association, MEA and EA.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
We can change the word collaborative to collective.
All right, seeing there's none, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor? All those not in favor? Can I continue?
Yeah, it passed.
Yeah.
11.
Minutes after
Yeah.
who voted yes and who voted
The 11.2, to approve a side agreement between the RSU4 Board of Directors and the RSU number 4 Administrators Association Collective Bargaining Agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? All those not in favor? Are you all set? So without any objection, I will go ahead and declare the meeting adjourned at 8